Well, good afternoon. You're listening to the Indie Author Show, and I'm very, very excited today. And why am I excited? Because I have Jeanette with me, my original co-host on the Indie Author Show. Welcome, Jeanette.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here.
Yes.
It really is.
We just found out last night that you were going to be here because you've moved up north on me. And then I said, do you want to come on the show? And you were like, well, let me change some things. And here we are. So very excited.
Here I am, yeah.
So we'll be talking about what Jeanette's been doing and just a few other things, some challenges. I want to keep talking to you about these marketing challenges that I have for authors. You're listening to the Indie Author Show, and I'm Sue Miller, your host. And I'm in the studio with me today is Jeanette, my original co-host for the Indie Author Show. And Jeanette, she didn't realize that this was live till just a few minutes ago.
I didn't. My voice has gone a bit high. No. Seriously, I didn't realise.
She has the best voice for radio. And Jeanette and I, when we started this, it was 2 years ago, I believe, in May.
Wow, time flies.
Yeah, so, I can't believe it was 2 years ago. But I was saying how we used to always pre-record our show because we were nervous. And I said, but now I do them all live. And she said, is this live?
Live? Oh, God.
So Jeanette is one of Team Authors' authors, one of the very beginning authors, really. And your pen name is J.M. Moore.
That's correct.
Yeah, so I'm going to be calling you Jeanette, but if anybody who's listening and wants to look you up, you're on Facebook at J.M. Moore, and Twitter, you're Fell
Explorer.
Fell Explorer.
Fell Explorer.
Yes. And your website is J.M. Moore, isn't it? Yeah. So your whole backstory is fell walking, and that's why you now live in Cumbria.
Yeah. I absolutely adore walking the mountains, and so I was very fortunate to be able to move up 12 months ago. My son lives in North Wales, so that's why I'm down here, and I just happened to message Sue. And thought we might be able to catch up, and she said, why not come into the studio? So I thought, yes, a little recording fun would be good. So 5 minutes ago I was told this was live, so I make some boo-boos. Apologies now.
I'm sure you'll be just fine. So tell us in 30 words or less. No, I'm joking. No, tell us about your affinity with the Lake District, and kind of where did that start from?
Oh, it goes back a long way, I think. I grew up on the Wirral, but when I was a child, it was mainly countryside. And my father used to take me walking down the flat lanes. I lived in Oxton. I was born in Oxton. And there was always the skylark as a background song, and it was very beautiful. And there were lots of wildflowers and ponies, sticklebacks. We'd go home with jam jars with fish in, and it was just a gorgeous backdrop. And I think a part of me had always been looking for that. And when I moved up to Scotland with my husband in the early 80s, I fell in love with mountains. But after 10 years of living in Scotland, we moved back, and the nearest I could get to it was the Lake District. I just adore that big sky, and the water, and of course the skylark singing in the background.
Mm-hmm.
So the skylark often features in my stories.
Yeah, you've kind of like I grew up on the lake, so the water is important to me. But you there's something that happens to your
package.
Yeah,
something about the smell, and it's that huge sky and those gorgeous fluffy clouds, and I'm just in love with the place.
Yeah,
and so this is.
So you were living in Cheshire,
I was,
and then you've moved. I don't know. Was it a year ago or
a year last March?
Yeah. Yeah, I was wondering if it was between a year, 18 months. So you're loving it.
I moved on the day, I think it was called The Beast from the East or something, wasn't it?
Oh,
the worst day of the year, so in the snow.
But you're loving it there?
I do love it.
Yeah, and you do still lots of walking now.
I do as much as I can. I try and discipline myself to write first if I can, because I've got to be productive.
Now, your book of short stories is called Rucksack Tales.
That's correct, Rucksack Tales.
And that kind of came about because you were doing the coast-to-coast walk, and then you thought, I wish that I just had a little book that was in my rucksack and that I could read
read one a night.
Yeah, before I fell off to sleep kind of thing. And
how it evolved.
Yeah, it's...
Characters kept coming to me, so... Yeah. So Rucksack Tales is probably going to be rejigged. Would you like me to go on and expand, or do you want to play some music?
No, go ahead. Just go ahead for another few.
I've met a guy called Mark Richards, and Mark Richards is very well known in his field. He's a linescape artist, and he's done many guides for Cicerone over the years. And I had some of his books on my shelf. He knew Wainwright, Alfred Wainwright, and we met purely by chance on a mountain. I saw this figure in the distance and thought, oh, I'll just go up as far as that person. And as I got closer, I realised it was Mark. I'd met him previously by about 5 years, and we gave each other a big hug like you do, and it's great to see you again. And somehow we worked something together. And he likes the idea of me and my stories, and we think we're going to put them together with his drawings and produce a book. And in the meantime, George Fisher is a very famous shop for climbers and outdoorsy people in Keswick. I think of it as sort of the Harrods of the climbing and outdoor shops.
Right.
And they listened to one of my stories recently and loved it so much they've invited me to be in their quarterly magazine on a regular basis. So my first story's just gone in there. And
was it a new story?
Brand new story written, especially for them. And so I'm very excited by that. They got my name wrong, unfortunately. So although it's the name I use in the street, shall we say, Jeanette Williams, if you Google Jeanette Williams, you'll probably get a country and western singer in America.
Okay.
Whereas if you Google J.M. Moore, it comes up with me. So in the next magazine, I'm sure it'll be...
So that's quarterly?
Quarterly, yeah. So one's just gone in now, the first one.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And there'll be a book of all these short stories and the linescape drawings, hopefully out late autumn.
Okay, that quickly.
I hope so.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll come back and I just want to explore that a little bit about what Mark's going to do with that and how you're going to pull that together. Let's talk a little bit more about what these plans are with Mark. Doing the line drawings to your short stories. Now, some of them will be existing short stories, but you're writing some new ones. You said you've got 3 new ones written already?
I started with one called Trust Me. And there's an area in the Northern Lakes called Trustmadore. And I think it's a very pretty name, Trustmadore, but this word kept playing in my head, Trustmadore. So we went and had a look at this valley, and Mark did a drawing of it. He does very intricate line drawings. They're very beautiful drawings. It takes him about a day or two, so very impressive. And I said, this is perfect. Now, I wove into the story the idea of one of these little fairy doors. I don't know whether you know what I'm talking about, Sue.
Yes.
Yeah, so they're often at the foot of a tree.
Yeah.
So I imagined one of these doors to be in the hillside, and it's a story. It's not fantasy. It's fun, really.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to tell you what happens in the end, but as you know, I love to get a twist right at the end.
Right. Yeah.
And I wrote it on I think it was the 29th of March. So I sort of wove it in with an April Fool's joke. And the catchphrase of this woman was, trust me. So you can see where Trustmadore is a sort of...
Yeah, you've got such a vivid imagination, and I'm sure that being in Cumbria and amongst that, as you say, the big blue sky and the fluffy clouds and the bird song and just everything, it must be an amazing place to get your creativity.
It is. Some people would just see emptiness because and trying to come up with a story written in the fell side does hurt my brain sometimes.
Yeah.
And if you like, I can read you the first paragraph of Trustmadore. I've got it on my phone. So
oh, yes. Well, we'll do that after.
That.
Yeah, we'll have that when we come back after our next track. So, that's... And I love your voice. You have a very good storytelling voice. So I think you were saying, tell us a little bit more, because you were telling me off air here, about perhaps doing some... in theaters where it's a combination of you reading your stories to Mark's...
I'm sitting here nodding because it's all a bit new. It's a new idea. And Mark's very well known. He's got...
What's his surname again?
Richards. Mark
Richards, okay.
He's got quite a big following. And so initially I felt I was on his coattails, but he said, "No, Jeanette, you're up and coming," which is very flattering.
Yeah.
So we thought, why don't we do something together? So besides coming out with a book, so he does the drawings, I do the story, and hopefully that'll be out for the Christmas market. We thought, why don't we take this to the stage and have a rolling backdrop of his drawings, and he takes the most gorgeous photographs of fells and lakes, and you just fall in love with them. And with me telling the story in the background. And we just thought, well, nobody else is doing this, so why don't we give it a go? So if there's an agent out there, yeah.
Now, would there be his photographs and his drawings, like a combination?
Probably, yes.
So, so I didn't realize he was a good photographer as well.
He produces the photographs for his guides, which are very special. But if you just Google Mark Richards, you'll see what his work's like.
What are his guides? What are they about?
At the moment, he's doing work for Cicerone. It's guides in the Lake District.
In the lakes,
I think it's 4 different areas, sort of quartered up, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and I suppose, other than him taking everything with him, I guess he would paint from his photographs, wouldn't he?
He doesn't paint.
Or not paint, he would draw.
Yes, yeah. And I bought one of his books years and years ago, never thinking I'd meet him or work with him. Great Days Out in the Lake District, I think it's called.
Okay.
And,
yes, I'll definitely.
He's a character, and he knew Wainwright, and So
I will be putting links in the Indie Author Show Facebook page that we have on Facebook. I will put links to you and links to him as well.
That would be really appreciated.
But that sounds really interesting. That I think people are wanting something different, and they're enjoying. You and I both together, we've known each other for about 3 years now, and we do like going to different events with authors, but to have something a little bit different with the visual as the backdrop as opposed to them just standing up there talking about the book.
Yeah, we think it could be fun.
Yeah, I do. I think that would be really good.
And I think sharing something is always enjoyable, and you can bounce ideas off each other, and you're really doing well. So I know that you've had a bit of ups and downs, but you get up. Bumpy road. So I'm looking forward to this. The story, trust me, is in the magazine at the moment, and I know if you look at George Fisher online and just check out the website, and I'm in there, you'll find it. I'm not sure which section it's under, so if you want to read the story, it is available now. But
look at Jeanette Williams is actually J.M. Moore.
J.M. Moore.
The one and the same, also known as. Okay, well, I'll let you get prepared while I go to another song, and then we'll come back and we'll listen to your lovely, sexy storytelling voice.
Thank you.
You're listening to the Indie Author Show with Sue Miller, your host. We are live on Callan FM fortnightly on Wednesdays from 12 to 1, and you can listen again on Callan FM. Just go to the callanfm.com website, look under shows, and Wednesdays, obviously, the Indie Author Show, and there's a link there that you can click on. I also do end up sharing the show on Team Authors YouTube channels, so you can find us there as well. And I have a Facebook page, The Indie Author Show. And I'm just with Jeanette Moore, who her pen name is J.M. Moore. And Jeanette has popped down from her residence in Cumbria in the Lake District down to North Wales for a couple of days. So I asked her if she'd come on. Well, actually didn't even give her much notice. I think we talked about it last night. And here she is, live on air. And we're looking for, she was going to read the beginning of one of her short stories, but just struggling with getting it downloaded. So we'll just, we'll come back to it after this next track. We'll see if we can get it downloaded, because I'd love for Jeanette to read part of this story to us. Okay, well, Jeanette's got her story ready for us. So, J.M. Moore, this is the story that is in, what's the magazine called?
It's the George Fisher Quarterly Magazine.
Okay.
So check George Fisher out online. Because this was all unplanned today. So I'm going to be reading this from my phone. So if the page goes black and it's live. So,
that's all right. We're all about having fun in this show anyway. So, Jeanette, just give us a little bit of background as to this is a brand new story that you've done, and it's going to
It's-
go in your new book
Will
with
do, yes.
Mark's drawing.
Yeah.
So can you just give us a brief little intro? Why? Because all your stories are based, well, most of your stories are based in the Lake District. So there's a. The more I talk, the more she's messing with her phone, and then
The picture
she's
just
listening.
shrank, and I've got to read from.
Okay, I'll stop talking. You tell us the background to this story.
The background to this is this very beautiful area called Trustmadore. And as I said earlier, the word kept going round in my head. So this is why I ended up calling it Trust Me. This is this girl's, one of her expressions she uses. And somehow I had to come up with a reason for door. Why? What could I come up with? There aren't many doors on the fell side, but in my head there are. So I also need to explain, I'm not being rude here, but Great Cockup is the name of a mountain. So I've used, I'm on that mountain because Trustmadore is very close.
Okay.
So I shall start reading. I'm only going to read a paragraph or so and see how it goes. Great Cockup seemed the most appropriate name when Mark realised his intention to impress had failed miserably. 4 Wainwrights bagged, but a falling out had marred the day, and now 2 pairs of tired legs took the downward slope into the high-sided, almost secret valley. He had known Rachel a matter of weeks and realised his casting doubt on her memory was perhaps a wrong move on his part. They trudged on in silence. Rachel ahead by 20 metres, her bobble hat wobbling with every unhappy footsteps. Dampened spirits dampened further when the cloud that had been following them decided to drop its load. The silly row started up again. "You can think all you like. Trust me. I was here last autumn and I saw it with my own eyes." Rachel stomped on, only once looking over her shoulder to add, "I'd just like you to believe me. It's around here somewhere. I'm not kidding." The increasing noise of the wind stole her last few words, but he understood her drift and acknowledged it with a wave of his arm. With shoulders squared, she speeded up, finding some reserve of energy without another backward glance. It was the end of the conversation. That much was clear. And Mark was left wondering how the back of someone could say so much, how someone's rear view could look so angry. He was definitely in the doghouse, and watched her back as she bobbed her way downhill, ponytails sticking out and getting wetter by the minute. He softened. She was a bit daft at times, and he just about accepted that they were not going to speak for a while, when Rachel squealed with a volume that would put an opera singer to shame. "It's there! Look!"
Ooh, I want to read the rest of this story.
That's what I wanted to hear, Sue. You can read it online.
What's there? Okay, well, definitely. And I love that.
Thank you.
And that's one of the things authors can do as well. That, I've been talking a lot over the last few shows about marketing and how can you, get more of an audience and how can you think outside the box? Well, doing stuff like that, even if you just give some teasers out there about what your story's about, or pick yours are short stories, so it's obviously easier to pick
Tell you what
something.
else I'm doing, Sue, is I'm doing some open mic. I go along to sort of an evening cafe thing, and some people go along and play a guitar, and some people will read poetry or whatever, and I get up there and I stand up and read a story, and it's nerve-wracking.
It
not
is
quite as nerve-wracking as this live on air, but
but you can share. What my point is you can share stuff online.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you could start a blog and just start sharing bits of your story, whether it's your story
has
or
to
your
be
novel.
done.
Yeah,
It really does. I mean, long gone are the days when somebody else did it for us.
yeah.
We'd all like to have the agent and the publisher behind us, but we don't as indie authors. We have to get out there.
Yeah, and even published authors are finding the same thing. They don't get the amount of energy, maybe the superstars do, but the typical author who's got an agent, they don't have.
We'd all like to be J.K. Rowling.
Yeah, exactly.
I can start with J.M. Moore.
Yeah. I think maybe you kind of had that in the back of your head, didn't you?
Yeah, I thought, yeah.
So, whether if you say, "Oh, I could never go on the radio," or "I could never speak in front of a bunch of people. Well, you don't need to. There's other ways that you can do things online.
But my advice would
Blogs.
be, and I come from a background of being an exceptionally shy person.
Which
I
she tells me this all the time, and I
it's-
really don't believe her.
I know, and people don't, because now what I do is I make myself get out of that comfort zone. I'm forever putting myself in very uncomfortable positions. That
Yeah.
sounds a bit odd. I'll just change the subject. But yeah, get out of the comfort zone and just do it. Get the T-shirt that says "Just do it."
Well, that's why I was thinking when you said this is live. Jeanette, this is nothing for you. You can do this.
Water off a duck's back, honey. Yeah.
So yeah, it is being an author. You know, everybody says, "Oh, I just want to write stories. I just want to write stories." But then, if your books aren't selling, it's because people don't know they're there. It's not because you're not a good author. It's because people don't know the book is there. So how do we
That's
get?
right. There are some wonderful writers out there, but sadly, you do have to do the donkey work.
Well, Jeanette, you won't have known in the last, I think, 3 shows of the Indie Author Show, I've been talking about a challenge, a 30-day challenge. And what I want people to do, so I'll keep repeating myself because I know there's always new listeners and so on. And Jeanette, you may want to try this yourself, but just take an A4 sheet of paper and draw 30 squares on that. You know, whether you draw 30 individual squares or, you know, just divide the page up into 30 squares, whatever. And then start at the I had said start at the beginning of the month, but we actually started on the 10th of June. So, you know, whatever your 30 days, doesn't have to be the start of a month, just 30 days, okay? And write in each one of those squares something that you're going to do to help you with your writing or to promote your book.
Good idea.
One or the other, okay? So it could be...
It's goal setting in a way, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's specific.
Daily,
It's
yeah.
making you force yourself to write something. And it could be as little as pulling open a dictionary or looking online on a thesaurus and finding a new word and understanding a new word. It could be as simple as that, or it could be taking photographs, your first post to Instagram. It could be more complicated, you know, or not complicated, but more daring, or, you know, more
it might
out of
be
your
a good
comfort
idea
zone.
too, is to get your partner or your husband or your wife to fill in some of these boxes, because it's inevitable that you'll stand back and go, oh no, I don't want to do that, but deep down you know you should.
Yeah.
So if they set the challenge too and throw a few things in boxes,
Well, even if you think, oh, well, those ones scare me, put them further down in the box. It actually, you know, to be fair, you don't have to follow them sequentially. You can just, you know, kind of think of it as, you know,
I can feel
author
myself
bingo.
squirming already, because I think, oh no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
We have to.
Yeah.
We really do.
And then just get a colored pen or whatever, and when you've done it, put a big tick mark in that box.
Ticks are good. Yeah.
Okay, so that's what my challenge has been, and I've been talking about it over the last 3 shows. And so, Jeanette,
Looks like I'm going away with some homework.
Some homework.
More.
And don't write all the easy ones either. You know.
Okay, boss.
It's okay to have
I can
some
do
easy
that.
ones, but you know, as you say, you're the one who just said it here on the radio. You've got to get outside your comfort zone.
Gulp. Yes.
And talking live. Well, okay, what I'll do is I'll give you one. I'll say one of your boxes can be talking live on radio. So you can put that in one of your boxes and put a tick mark.
Tick. Yeah. Been there, done that.
Okay, I'm sure we're going to have tons more to talk to you about. So we'll go to another track and we'll come back and see what else is going on in J.M. Moore's world.
Stay tuned.
Show with Sue Miller and my original guest host, Jeanette Moore. I'm so excited to have you, Jeanette. Thank you for changing your plans and just staying in the area a bit longer so you could be on the show today. J.M. Moore is how you can find you on Facebook and your website. And on Twitter, you're at Fell Explorer.
That's correct, yeah.
Because you are a fell walker. So tell me a little bit about what you do. Do you walk every day? Do you... Or probably not every day, but every other day?
I think because I live up there now, I wouldn't say I'm taking it for granted, but I'm choosing the weather.
Right.
So it's pouring down. I don't need to don all the waterproof gear and get out there. But I'm and I've got a bit of I've got a knee problem and a foot problem at the moment, so I'm going to see an ortho. So that's curbed things a little bit. So I use walking poles, and I do get out more locally, and I know how many miles I'm to do safely. But yeah, I'm itchy. I'm absolutely itching.
Do you still take your camera with you? And
Most of it's done on my phone now because it's
Is
so
it?
much easier.
Yeah.
It's direct to Facebook or direct to the website. Yeah.
Yeah, people need to follow your Facebook page because you are always uploading some fun stuff, and you're not afraid to upload fun photos of you, and they're just very inspiring. I can't see anybody who wouldn't find being in nature creative and inspiring. So I think
I'll always talk back with folk as well. I like to engage with people. I really love people. So anyone who says hello will always get a response. And I run some walking groups as well, and I love to take people out. So if anyone's ever in the area, just send me a message, and even if I can't walk, I'll always have a coffee with you
and give you some advice about whether you're experienced or beginner or whatever. You can make suggestions on where to go, and I'm sure there's lots of guidebooks that you can recommend, and coffee shops, pubs. I'm sure you found the odd pub that you like.
I found some very odd pubs.
Yeah.
Most of them are very good.
Yeah. What was the name of the place in your story?
Great Cock-Up.
Great Cock-Up,
yeah. The mountain. I've had picnics up there. I'm going up a fell on Friday evening because it's midsummer on Friday.
Right, it is, yes.
Of course, the days are getting longer until Friday.
So you're going to have a picnic up there? And
picnic up there, and I've invited some friends. And
that sounds idyllic.
A bottle of Prosecco, and we're all taking nibbles, and hopefully it'll be a sunny evening. We can watch the sun.
Yeah.
And then on Saturday, I'm with another group, and we are walking from Seathwaite, which I believe is Britain's rainiest area. And I can't quote the figures, but it often gets torrential rain. So hopefully Saturday's going to be good. And we are walking up Grainsgill, which is a beautiful gorge. No, it's not a gorge, it's a valley. Up to Sprinkling Tarn. And there's a mountain there where I finished my Wainwrights called Great End. And if my foot's up to it, I'll get up to Great End and relive completing my Wainwrights, which was in 2014. And then we all go back to the campsite. I've got a camper van. And who knows, I might even read a story around the campfire.
Oh, I'm sure you will.
So, yeah, there's fun this weekend.
Yeah.
That's the sort of weekend I really enjoy, is getting out in the open, beautiful scenery with people who are good fun.
We haven't had the best of weather this spring, have we? So hopefully the summer's better for you, because last year, remember, it was just absolutely gorgeous. Probably almost too hot.
Last August was disappointing because I felt the summer was curtailed.
But I remember May, June, July was beautiful.
Too short.
Yeah. So you need to... You can buy Jeanette's book on Amazon, by the way, and it's Rucksack Tales. Very, very good. How many short stories do you remember?
There are 17 set in the Lake District.
Yeah.
And then there's 4 stories. One of them set in Wrexham.
Yeah, one of them is in Wrexham, yeah.
So 21 short stories.
But for people who are going on holiday, if you want just, a little book that you just don't have the time to read, get into a big novel, then take Jeanette's book with you. Or
What's funny though is most people say that they enjoyed the first story, that they quickly read the second one. They enjoyed that, and then they get through it too quickly.
Yeah,
it's a bit of fun.
Your stories, how do I describe them? A bit quirky. There's always a twist.
Quirky. Some of them are dark.
Yeah, a few dark, but not scary or anything. They're just there's always. Well, I know Jeanette, so I know there's a bit of her humor is in every one of those.
Of fun.
Yeah, it's her kind of little fun sense of humor. Some people might call it sick sense of humor, but no, they're really.
Sick of you all.
But you'll end up reading one of her stories and went, "What?" and then start laughing. So yeah, I hope you never lose that aspect, Jeanette.
No, it's just me, and they say write what you know, so I'll stick to the great outdoors and humour.
I was going to say
people, so
yeah,
throw it all in the mix, and hopefully you too will enjoy it.
And let me say about the photographs. What Jeanette did is she took, I think all but one or two of them are her own photographs that she's taken whilst walking in the Lake District. And so then, and the odd one she didn't have, so she had to go. I remember you telling me the story how you had to go stalk some little old grey-haired ladies, to get their
I think
perm.
That's right.
Their permed hair. Do you remember?
Yeah, that's right. And so these, oh bless them, this was in Nantwich, and they had their backs to me, and they had that perfect perm, those lovely bubbly curls, and
soft grey curls. Yeah.
I told them they were going to feature in a book, and it was so funny listening to them as they walked away, because I think they were both deaf. So they were shouting for a number of yards, and they were like, "Just wait till we tell the ladies on the bus we're going to be famous in the book." And I thought, oh, bless them. So sweet.
You should have gotten their addresses and sent them a copy of the book, and then they might not have been. So anyways, I love that because the stories are backed up by a photograph. So there's a photograph that starts each chapter, or each short story. So you can find Jeanette again on Facebook at JM Moore, website at JM Moore, and Twitter at Fell Explorer, and then just go to Amazon to purchase a copy of her book.
How good is this for a plug, hey?
And it's on, is it on Kindle?
Yes.
Yeah. So if you want to have a downloadable version, you can do that as well. So I think we'll just do
feedback as well. I'd love some feedback on it. Just engage on my page, and I will always chat back with you.
And leave a review on Amazon, which is another thing.
Now that is something else we need to talk about in a minute.
Yeah, that's difficult. Okay, we will go for one last track, and then we'll just come back and wrap it up, because as usual the show goes way too fast, but we'll be back in just a couple of minutes. Yes, we're June, aren't we? Yeah, it's the end of June 2019, and my guest today has been Jeanette Moore. Lovely to have you back in the studio with me. We used to have some fun that first year. It was you and me bouncing.
Fun today.
Yeah, we have.
Times I'll have to come back.
Yes, definitely come back. And so I wish you all the luck with your new book project that you've got with Mark.
Read a large.
Mark Richards.
Mark Richards.
Yes, I'm going to look him up, and I shall put the tag in Facebook so that people can find him. And then the shop that your book is in, George Fisher. I have a very poor memory. I can't remember. I know you've told me this 3 times in the show, but anyways. Okay. In Keswick. And yes, what else?
At the end of that story, that's in the magazine.
Yes.
George Fisher, you can access it that way.
And it'll be in your new book, which will be out before Christmas. And if you want to find her current book, it's called Rucksack Tales on Amazon. Now, speaking of Amazon, let's just shout out a quick plug here for people to leave reviews, because that's another huge thing that you can do to help indie authors.
Yes, it helps us hugely, and I believe if I get 50 reviews, it puts me in a different category, gets me noticed a little bit more. I've currently got 44 reviews, and it's like, oh gosh, it's so difficult to get anyone to leave a review. So if you do read it and enjoy it, I'd be so grateful. In fact, I'd be so grateful. I'd invite you to my house. I'd put you up for the night. I would prepare you meals. I would do anything for you.
Okay, that's...
You get the drift. I'd do anything.
It means a lot to you.
It does. Please help.
Okay, well, I've left a review. I'll help by promoting the book and hopefully getting people to buy it. And even, like you said, you know what? You don't have to read every single short story in there to leave a review, even if you've only read 5 of them. And your review doesn't have to be 1,000 words either.
Even if it's just 1 word.
Yeah. And the reason why it's important, listeners, is because Amazon works on a thing called algorithms. So the more activity a book has, whether it's being purchased or whether someone's left a review, the little robots that are mysteriously happening in the background, they will then promote that book more often. So, you know, if you've ever been on Amazon and you buy a book, and then once you've purchased the book, it says people who bought this book might like this book, you know. So it's just one of the things,
Of that.
yeah, it's just another way of supporting indie authors, and it doesn't cost you any money to leave a review. It just probably costs you a minute of your time, really. If you're on Amazon anyways, just go to the page, quickly leave your stars, and 1 or 2 words is enough.
Yeah. Likewise, if you're an author and want me to do
Yeah.
the same, I'll do that for you. I'll read your book and leave a review. So
Okay.
yeah, it's good to support each other.
Yeah. So thank you again, Jeanette, and
Thank
you
So
can.
It's been an absolute pleasure. It
Oh,
really has.
yeah, and we'll definitely have you back then in
Autumn,
the autumn. Yeah, I was going to September, October.
Good stuff.
We do take a little bit of a break over this summer, just for holidays and so on. So we do repeat some of our shows from the past. But remember my challenge to you, the 30-day challenge. Doesn't have to start at the beginning of a month, but draw 30 boxes and put something in each box that you do over 30 days to either
She wants a boxing
Kickstart.
match, doesn't she?
yeah, either kickstart your writing or get you promoting your own book or whatever it may be, but something to do with writing.
Some boxes.
Yeah.
Mm.
And then go ahead and
Yeah,
use your
you can do that.
special highlighter and tick some boxes. Now, remember that you can listen again to the Indie Author Show. So we will be on the Listen Again feature on Callan FM. Just go on Wednesday's shows, the Indie Author Show, and just click on Listen Again. And then the next live one will be in a fortnight's time.